بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. My dear respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. And if we have any guests who are not Muslim, peace be unto you. I'm grateful, first of all, for this moment that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon us that we could share. If somebody is technically savvy and can check on this feedback that I'm receiving, I just thought it was temporary while he was reciting the Quran, kind of like simulate the high-pitched feeling the Prophet used to get when he was receiving revelation. So it's a pleasure to be here, basically, and it's an honor to be addressing you in the same week as a very historic moment, not only for the United States, but really for the entire world, with the election, regardless of whatever your political biases or ideology is. It is a major moment in history to have Senator Barack Obama as the president-elect of the United States. And so it's something, because the election was a lot about character, and a lot was thrown at him and to test his character, but mashallah, he survived, and we appreciate that. He had a hard time because his middle name is what? Sorry, what? You get used to it. And then the second thing was that he chose a chief of staff. This is the imagination of an Obama campaign. If you didn't have enough controversy with Husain as your middle name, you choose a chief of staff who's going to be the face of your administration. And what is his middle name? Who is he, first of all? Try it, you can do it. It's very easy. Rahm Emanuel. And what is Rahm Emanuel's middle name? He's a congressman from Chicago, from Illinois. Husain? That would be good, wouldn't it? The anti-Muslim people would be like, God, we can't go right with anything. No, it's actually going to be very difficult on the anti-Semitic people. His middle name is Israel. So the Obama campaign has a massive imagination for controversy, so they're going to just get it every day. They're going to be like, Rahm, Israel, Emmanuel, of all people, and a black man for president. People are like, racist people in America are really having a field day. I want to do three things basically. Make some overview remarks about the importance of character building, of maintaining sincere intentions, and then connecting that to righteous conduct. But then connect those overview remarks to a topic, an integral topic as a part of character building, and that is the essence of how do we get along with one another? Where does character truly show up in interactions? And then tie it somehow to gender relations, like how do we get along? How does this side of the room get along with that side of the room? And how does that side of the room get along with this side of the room? And somehow, I know it's going to come back to marriage. The Muslim community, especially on college campuses, no matter what the lecture, like today could have been the true historic moment of the election of Barack Obama. And then someone at the end of it goes, Brother Altaf, I was wondering, since race relations are improving in America, and the political scene is changing, do you think my parents will let me marry another man from another race? It will come back, I know it will. So I will somehow connect it back to marriage. So what's the good news? Muslims have a framework of existence that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us that doesn't exist in other monotheistic religions. And that is that every baby, in the Islamic framework, is born in a pure state. That's an important thing to talk about when we talk about character building. Because if the Prophet said, as the Prophet said, that every baby is born in a pure state, in a state of fitrah, and that the parents, ultimately, the socialization process, the environment, influences them to go to other religions or to do whatever it is with their whims and fancies. That on the campus means that you begin where? As a first-year student, with a GPA of 4.0. So with your character as a Muslim, technically Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, out of His mercy, I will burden you. I will burden you to be born in a totally pure state, sin-free, without sin. And the challenge will be, can you maintain a 4.0 GPA as far as character is concerned? And everything will be thrown at you. Everything will come at you. And indeed, in our family lives, our professional lives, our social lives, whatever it is, you will find that there are challenges to maintaining a solid character. Well, intentions are at the root of what a character is. Because if I start with flawed intentions, if I start with impure intentions, if I start with the notion that's self-serving and in a way not akhiratic, not hereafter-oriented, but dunyatic, world-oriented. If I start from that, the Prophet ﷺ says, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّةِ, that indeed all actions are but judged by their intentions. So regardless of this fitrah, some other forces come upon us. And suddenly, in my personal life, in my private life, in my professional life, social life, academic life, I take on this persona. I become this being, in a composite of several blocks of character. If you take the religion as a whole, character building is an integral part of being a Muslim. Because let's face it, if you choose to be, and you could choose to be of any other religion, you could even choose to be a part-time Muslim. A part-time Muslim. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أُدْخُلُوا فِي السِّلْمِ كَافَّةً وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that, O you who believe, that udkhul is a command, it's a directive in Arabic, enter into this religion wholeheartedly. وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. And do not follow the footsteps of shaitan, indeed he is to you an avowed enemy. And in the discussion of character, often what we forget is that nobody goes out of their way to be evil. I mean, it's just not there. It's very rare that you find someone so hardened in their soul and in their heart that they wake up saying that I want to commit some sin, that I want to commit some form of evil, that I want to engage in that. Everyone, including Hitler, believed he was doing right. In his mind, he had justified it. The white, the brotherhood now that's out in mad forces because of the election of Barack Obama, all of these people, anti-Semitic people, anti-Muslim people, anti-anybody. Anyone who has that doesn't wake up and doesn't even believe that they're doing evil. They actually believe they're doing right. And indeed, this is what we're talking about, is that for Muslims, character ultimately takes on, and it's an analogy of a needle. It's the needle, and it's of the moral compass of our soul. So basically, you can look at a person, look at their soul. You can't see their soul, but you can see their character. You can see the outward behavior. You can see what life they're leading. And you can say, well, this is so-and-so, and this is what's happening with them. The more difficult challenge is to look inward and to say, what's happening with my character? What's happening to my soul? And so we talk about character as being outward, not to be confused with personality. Personality is often the inner traits. Things that I'm born with. Character is much often learned behavior. Of course, influenced by, impacted by my personality. And so that's important for us to keep in mind, because often, people kind of become tough on themselves and say, subhanAllah, I'm trying to change, but I can't. The reality is, if these are learned behaviors, they can be unlearned. The Prophet ﷺ looked at people, he understood them, he observed them, he saw them walking into a room, and he could tell everything about you the moment you stepped into a room. Your entire demeanor, everything could be known to him. And a man asked him, Awsini ya Rasulullah, advise me, O Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he said, La taghdab. He asked him again, Awsini, advise me, La taghdab. Awsini, La taghdab. Do not let anger overpower you, overwhelm you. And that is a learned behavior. Now we have anger management, we have all kinds of things. But what if my character? What if my character is weak because of honesty, because of trust, because of a lack of being respectful, because of essentially not having compassion in my heart? How do I do that? And all of those things, again, we say, with enough time and enough practice, they are learnable. And so a character can be improved. And a personality sort of can be mediated, if you will, if you work on it hard enough. Now, in terms of character, the Arabic word akhlaq, the Prophet ﷺ was referred to in the Quran in many ways. And in one very intimate surah, in Surah Al-Qalam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is encouraging the Prophet, giving him encouragement, inspiring him to go on with what he's doing because of all of the attacks upon him, upon his character. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the Prophet, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. And indeed, O Muhammad, you have been created upon an exalted character. And indeed, subhanAllah, his wife, Aisha radiallahu anha, when asked about him, when asked about the Prophet ﷺ, she merely said, كَانَ خُلُقُهُ الْقُرْآنِ. That indeed, his character was the Quran. So those of you who are in English literature, this is a literary term, this is a metaphor. It was the Quran. Character, Quran. Is, not like as a simile, not his character was like the Quran. His character was the Quran. And other scholars have said after that he indeed was the Quran, walking kana Quran yamshi. Now, other scholars, Ibn Hazm, Imam Ghazali, Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah, all of them have written about this. Even to the present day, scholars are still exploring. What does it take? What does it take for a Muslim to build his or her character? What is it? What are the pitfalls? What are the challenges? And how can he or she essentially emerge with a character intact, if you will? Oftentimes what happens is that we get lost in this notion of philosophy. And we say, well, how can I know? How can I know what's going wrong with me? How can I know when I'm not having a decent character, if you will? How can I know if I'm engaging in behavior that's sort of difficult at best, shameful at worst? And the Prophet ﷺ is guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, tells us in one of the 40 hadith of Imam al-Nawawi that al-birru husnul khuluq. That the first part of this is to say that indeed righteousness is good morality. And the contrast, wal-ithmu ma haka fi nafsika, and wrongdoing is that which wavers in your soul, وَكَرَهْتَ أَنْ يَطَّلِيَ عَلَيْهِ النَّاسِ, and that you dislike that people find out about it. Are you with me so far? Character building is to have that height of consciousness whereby the inner voice that every one of us has been blessed with, that inner voice begins to control the very essence of our being. It doesn't dominate us and take over us, because then we may have to seek mental health help. There's nothing wrong with seeking mental health help, I mean social work. But what I mean is, you know you're about to do something. You're about to send an email that you wrote when you were very angry. Very angry. You're about to go onto a Facebook page of someone and check out the new album they loaded just to see if the friend of a friend's picture is on that Facebook page. That you're about to go onto a website and you know well that if someone said you hit return on that website, go ahead and hit enter. And as soon as you hit enter, the entire world will be watching you on a huge screen surfing through that page. And you say, oh God, I hope that never happens. Oh God, I hope that I don't die sitting doing this particular deed. Excuse me. So the Prophet ﷺ is saying that righteousness, that righteousness is morality, is character, is having good morality, good character. And ism, the wrongdoing, he says, listen to your voice, look at your soul, examine it, and then, does it waver? Does it flutter? Where are you? When you have amazing moments of joy, where is your soul? When you have amazing dark moments, where is your soul? And can you tell the difference between the two? It is not character cannot be developed overnight. I mean, let's be very clear. And sometimes people say, well, if I read this book, if I read the Quran, if I turn to Allah, and if I just do it one night, maybe I'll be okay the rest of the time. The challenge is that as much as we are trying to be full-time Muslims, Shaitan has a full-time job. Satan, Shaitan has a full-time job. And that is to be sure that that the more we try to increase our maqam, to raise our maqam, our station with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, shaitan's thing is, hey, your character is getting to be a little too good. Something's got to give. What people could not fathom was Senator Barack Obama, regardless of anything you said about him, a wife, 2 children, and till today at least, till today, and leave it to the Republicans to find something, nothing has been found about his character. Nothing. Nobody can say. They accused him of many things. And the powerful thing behind that is that his vision was all about righteous conduct. He leaves a major, major career as a lawyer that could have gone to any firm on Wall Street and says, he puts into action what the Quran tells us to do. Everywhere in the Quran, Allah says, if you say you believe, and He addresses you, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. If you say you believe, in Surah 18, Allah says, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. And He tries to juxtapose, put together faith and righteous conduct. And in our case, sometimes we may have the faith, and the faith may waver. It's not easy being a Muslim. It's not easy. People are questioning constantly. Your religion is backwards. Look at all the people who do these dastardly deeds in the name of Islam. Look at all these corrupt, dictators. They're all Muslim. Look at all the stealing of the wealth at the dictatorial level, and nothing reaches the people. Look at your religion is backwards. It's against progress. You have illiteracy. You have homelessness. You have rampant hunger, malnutrition. You have people dying. You have barely enough to feed yourselves. And you have the wealth of the world in terms of the oil and other natural resources. Where is the إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ, and joining each other to what is truth and what is basically patience. Think about this. Think about the state of the Muslims today in terms of just character. If nothing else, just character. Just a notion of compassion. Just a notion of respect for one another. For the respect for each other's time. For the respect for each other's well-being. For each other's honor. The way people and leaders and scholars have been attacked. And by people who couldn't even, it's like they couldn't even breathe the same air as some of these scholars. Not only the earliest scholars, Salaf al-Salih, the righteous predecessors, but also the current scholars. What is it that causes us to betray our emotions in a way that we end up hurting those around us with our speech, with our actions? So it does start to matter. A lot of it in secular thought says that we don't really want to know what you do in your private life. All we care about is how you are as a public person. So if you're elected to office, we don't really care who you are in your private life. We just care how you are in your public life. If you're doing a good job, we like you. We don't want to know anything about you. In Islam, there is no such difference between a person's public life and a person's private life. There is no such difference. A character is a character is a character, whether I'm dealing with the public or when I'm alone. Whether I'm dealing with Muslims or non-Muslims. Whether I'm dealing with men or with women. Character is unshakable. Is not situational. It's not meant to say, well, brother, the non-Muslims is so much to us. So it's okay if I'm harsh and angry and frustrated towards them and I lash out and I do this, that, or the other. Or that, the sisters, they're just becoming too independent. They just want to interpret the Quran for themselves. Next thing you know, they'll be basically, asking for this right and that right, as if the sisters do not have their own intellect to look at the Quran and look within the framework of the Quran and look at even the teachings of some of the greatest women of Islam, including Aisha radiallahu anha, Fatima radiallahu anha, the daughter of the Prophet ﷺ, and how they led their lives. I'm not talking about just any woman who's Muslim and claims to be a scholar. I'm talking about righteous predecessors of ours who were women. And so we get to the point that we say, isn't it important to connect then a person's character with his or her intentions and with his or her conduct, and then to create a framework that we can operate from. So let me move then to give a practical example, if you will, or delve into a practical sphere of character building. And here, we're talking about an integral aspect of how I deal with you. Not just how I deal with you in person, but am I able to maintain that throughout my private and other lives? Often men, and the brother said, I'm on a board for the Peaceful Families Project. This is a Virginia-based group that's anti-domestic violence, the prevention of it, they're looking at the root causes of it, everything. Often, men who in public lives are dominated and emasculated and made to feel very low, constantly felt as if they could not move or breathe without someone looking over them, will ultimately take out and unleash all of that resentment, all of that frustration onto the closest people around them. And this is where domestic abuse and physical abuse, much of that emanates from. And this isn't just limited to, oh, the illiterate, they don't know, so that's why they beat up each other. This is medical professionals. These are doctors, lawyers, academicians, scholars, whose wives may come and say, my husband beats me. Or his children will say that my husband has such and such flaw. I mean, my father has such and such flaw. Or even, to some degree, my mother has such and such flaw. And we're saying that if we cannot use Islam as a driving force for change, for positive change at the individual level, then there's nothing that will change in society, because a society is a composite, is a total picture, if you will, of every single individual. And when we talk about gender relations, about getting along with one another, character has everything to do. Because Islam is a comprehensive religion. It has guidelines that lead us not only to be self-respecting, and to care for oneself, but also to be dignified, not only in the way I conduct myself, but to treat others with dignity. We didn't have to wait till the 1950s for the entire world to agree on a code of conduct in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. We had that some 1,400 years ago. We're just not good at marketing. We're very poor at public relations. And even worse at showing and leading by example. This is the dilemma. If you reflect upon the verses of the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Surah Qaf, He says, وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ وَنَعْلَمُ مَا تُوَسْوِسُ بِهِ نَفْسُهُ وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ حَبْلِ الْوَرِيدِ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, it was we who created man, and we know what dark suggestions his soul makes to him. We are nearer to him than his jugular vein. Jugular vein, the one that carries life, blood. And we're attempting to understand, comprehend what Allah is saying. He is saying that not only did we create you, we are your creator, but we also know that in your soul there may be dark whispers, and that we are closer to you than even your jugular vein. And then he goes on to say, behold, and there are two angels appointed to learn and to note, one sitting on the left, one sitting on the right. مَا يَلْفِظُ مِنْ قَوْلٍ إِلَّا لَدَيْهِ رَقِيبٌ عَتِيدٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, not a word does he utter, but there is a sentinel and a soldier, an angel, ready to record it. That means words on Facebook. That means words on text messaging, on AIM, on Yahoo Chat. That means cell phone conversations. That means whispering with one another while a third is present and the Prophet ﷺ forbade it. That means every word. Can you imagine a more merciful God than the one who says, I created you, I gave you the faculty of reason, I gave you the faculty of logic, I gave you the ability to choose, and then I'm telling you, not like secret wiretapping, where you don't know who's watching you, who's listening to you. I am telling you that I've appointed 2 angels just for you to sit on my right and to sit on my left. And I don't utter a word. مَا يَلْفِظُ مِنْ قَوْلٍ. Sorry. مَا يَلْفِظُ مِنْ قَوْلٍ. That not one word that do I utter except that is being recorded. That's critical for us to know. Because actions and words, what hurts more? Actions hurt more or words hurt more? What do you think? Pausing for station identification, making sure the crowd is awake. Yes, in the back. Both? Both. So you don't believe in the nursery rhyme? No, you don't. Right? Sticks and stones, they break my bones. But words will never hurt me. It's a lie, right? It's a lie. We don't know who came up with it. But we repeat it. We repeat it. Because yes, that's true. Yes, that's true. In 1947, when Palestine was created, in 1947, when India was partitioned, in the late 80s and 90s, when apartheid was being uplifted from South Africa, in Chechnya, in Somalia, everywhere, in Iraq now, in Afghanistan, everywhere, sticks and stones were used to attempt to break the people's bones. Actions and words together have a compounding effect. So when we talk about how we get along with one another, when we talk about how we get along with the opposite gender, we want to keep these things in mind. Another saying in the Islamic tradition says that a tongue is a window to a person's heart. You know, sometimes people get upset and say, oh, no, I didn't really mean it. No, you meant it. You just didn't want to get it out. You were just afraid it was going to hurt someone. You meant it. You meant it. And I remember I was in a gathering. I stopped saying names anymore of where I go. And it was during my term as MSA. I remember I was a national rep. I said something. And the people had some experience with national before my time. And the brother just lunged forward at me, like physically lunged forward at me. And the other brothers held him back, you know. And the explanation was, you know, you have to forgive him. He's just like that. He just does that. So that means that at every gathering, you actually sit there and allow him each time, and no one has advised him. And this is not becoming of a Muslim. Not just because he could have obviously physically hurt me, I mean, I'm not that big. But that it's not a good reflection. I mean, you disagree with someone. What is your attitude? Is your attitude to say, well, let me help you by showing you a different way of looking at this? Or is my character so flawed that I'm arrogant? And I want to just down that person and say, man, you said this, and this is what this is. And half the time we have Q&A, a lot of times, people are out there trying to just stand in line to make sure they put the speaker down in some way or the other, or put one scholar against the other scholar, right? Your sheikh, my sheikh, right? I have an article on Islam Online, your sheikh, my sheikh, let's go have a milkshake, right? Just cut it out. Just cut it out, because it doesn't make sense. You can't possibly tell me you want to talk about Islam and you're putting down the other half of the humanity. That you're talking about Islam, but you're putting down scholars. That you're talking about Islam, but you're cheating. Can you imagine? The Prophet ﷺ was known as a Sadiq al-Amin before Nubuwwah. Are you with me? Before prophethood, the Arabs of his tribes and everyone that dealt with him had coined the phrase to define his character. Before prophethood, as a Sadiq al-Amin, the truthful and the trustworthy. Do you know? I went to a store, a Muslim halal meat / bookstore. Right? This is like the soul food all over. I go there and I look at the counter, and the brother has a massive glass pane on his counter. And I'm going, why do people have that? It's like so cheap, in terms of why would you have that on a counter, right? I looked down and I was was shocked. Where am I? I'm in a bookstore that sells what? Books on Islam. Where am I? I'm in a meat store. By the way, it's Zabiha meat. It's the name of Allah being used. And people are driving from miles. I look at that counter. Do you know what I saw? It almost made me cry. I saw on that counter checks that had been stamped NSF. ISF. Insufficient funds. Can you imagine what state must the Muslim community be in that $400, $500, $250 were spent by different individuals, and they drove. You have to make an intention to get up out of your car, out of your house, get into your car, turn it on, and point your compass GPS towards this store to buy Zabiha meat and to buy Islamic books. And you write in the memo, Islamic books and meat. And you let that poor vendor, that poor merchant, suffer ultimately because you cheated him out of that many dollars. And he's never going to see the day of light of. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? What must it be? So of course we have to talk about character. Of course we have to talk about how we deal with each other. Of course we have to talk about how we deal with one another in terms of gender relations. And I'm telling you, it's not impossible, but it is not easy. And here I come to where we often mess up. Think of this pattern. I say, our character is a reflection of the state of our soul. Reflection of the state of our soul. So a healthy soul inspires righteous conduct, and a healthy soul is one which has come to terms with the prioritization of one's physical and spiritual needs. Who is a psychology major in here? Anybody take psychology? Is that an Islamic major? It is, right? Why not? Everything is. Anthropology is. Anthropology is an Islamic major. Why not? The Quran tells you, right? Travel to the earth to see the ends of those who came before you. You think that's not anthropology? What's anthropology? Sitting in the 102-degree weather in Cairo, digging up bones, going, is that a bone or is that last night's dinner? What is it? Is that arcade? Right? Psychology, it's amazing. Maslow's hierarchy. Anybody remember that? No, come on, you guys are like, oh, I can't admit to knowing secular knowledge. I'm in an Islamic lecture and it's being recorded. Come on. Maslow's hierarchy, never heard of it? I'm saying that a character is a reflection of a healthy soul. A healthy soul inspires righteous conduct. And I'm saying that healthy soul is also a reflection, a sign of a person who has prioritized their physical and spiritual needs. Are you with me? This is a college audience, so I know somebody has heard of Maslow. In fact, his first name was Ibrahim. Abraham Maslow? Nobody? Yes. Save me. Rescue me. Yes. What did Maslow say now that you raised your hand? Anyway, you want to phone a friend? You can phone a friend if you want. No, it's okay. I'll help you. So essentially, the battery. No, it's bad. Essentially, Maslow was saying that a person. Yes, save me.
I think it goes from a person's safety needs, their physiological needs, to their safety needs, to their self-efficacy.
Okay. Yeah, that's. I would like B-. Yeah. I'm a tough faculty member. You know, all the new faculty members, they have to prove themselves. They can't give A's because it's just not possible, right? So basically, yeah, you look around and you look at your basic needs, right? Food, thirst, shelter, clothing, right? Basic needs. And then you move up. And the height of that is self-actualization. Ooh. Thank God they didn't serve the pizza first, right? Because those cheese enzymes, total depression. And people are like, did he just say a 6-syllable word at like 8 o'clock at night? Yes, self-actualization. This is where you've arrived at your sense of self. And I'm saying, when we talk about character building, it's truly a reflection of someone who is constantly in a state of struggle and is saying that I can suppress my lower desires in place of and substitute them with my desire to come near to Allah through dhikr, through prayer, to ibadat, to acts of worship and whatever. Are you with me? That's what this struggle is about. And so when I come to gender relations, I'm talking about a flawed character often has that reversed. Often has that reversed. So for whatever reason, the spiritual aspect of that person is like the last of their concerns. And they're driven. And I'm not just being crude. They could be driven just by an anger towards the other gender. Or they could be driven by an attraction towards the other gender. Let's reflect on verses from Surah An-Nur. And you know these already, so I'll just give the numbers 30 and 31. In Surah An-Nur. And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, and I'll give you the one-liner for the men, right? The men are like, yeah, that's right. We only need one line. You guys need like 10 lines, right? Always the bias. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ وَيَحْفَظُوا فُرُوجَهُمْ ذَلِكَ أَزْكَىٰ لَهُمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ خَبِيرٌ بِمَا يَصْنَعُونَ. Sorry. Say to the believing men that they should lower their gaze and guard their modesty. That will make for greater purity for them. And Allah is well acquainted with all that they do. Basic guideline. Tell the men to do what? Lower your gaze and guard your modesty. And for the other half of the world, Allah says a much more detailed admonition. And I'll explain to you why I believe this is here. It's not because we're better. And it'll come in a minute, so get ready for your hit. Allah says, and tell them to lower their gaze, guard their modesty, that they should not display their beauty and ornaments except that which are apparent. They should draw their veils over their bosoms and not display their beauty except to their husbands, their fathers, and basically goes on to the male relatives. And then finally, that they should not strike their feet in order to draw attention to their hidden ornaments. This is the words of Allah. This is not to be made fun of. But think about what I just read. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, and by the way, at the end of that verse, it indeed says, turn all of you together, repenting towards Allah, and so that you may attain bliss, success, if you will. So if you reflect upon this, my understanding is, the reason there are so many reminders towards the men is because we are the ones that have problems. Are you with me? You have to be aware of this. That whether you are from a patriarchal society or not, somehow or the other, it is the men who deserve most of the reminders in the Quran, and it is the women who help to maintain the balance in society, because if they are upright, the children are upright. The lap of a mother is the first university. Think about that. The lap of a mother is the first university. Educate a woman, you educate a nation. Think about that. But we, how you doing? Lots of problems, right? Why? Why do you think that is? What is he saying? Let's reflect on this. These guidelines tell us that Allah is addressing every one of us in our personal states, our personal likes and dislikes, our personal inclinations and disinclinations, that which we are passionate about, that which we do not like. Lowering one's gaze has implications for the one who likes to look and who likes to be looked at. And Shaitan tempts us to play games with our eyes. Are you following? To the one who likes to look and the one who likes to be looked at. So the man is being told, lower your gaze. And the woman is being told, lower your gaze. Why? Because, think about this. We are told in Islam that the first look is what? What? You guys are so scared, like, should we say it? Because I do it all the time. The first look is what? Is what? Free? What? We're charging now? No, man, come on. Already, Martin Luther, the senior, the one from the old Christianity, was like totally against paying for anything, right? So stop it. There's nothing free or like payable, right? So the first look is what? Forgiven. Huh? Oh, forgiven. Breaking himself now. No, it can't be forgiven, man. No, the first look is allowed. Is allowed for identification purposes. Oh, it's a sister. Oh. is a sister, right? I know sisters, and that's a sister. And that's a little bit longer than the identifying look. Am I correct? Am I correct? And I don't mean to make fun of this, but Google comes from what? The root of what? What is the root of the word Google? Anybody know?
The misspelling of
what?
The misspelling of something.
The misspelling of something, yeah. And you millions off of a misspelling. What an amazing marketing plan, right? Google. The root is the last 4 letters. O-G-L-E. Where in S-A-T and G-R-E have you heard ogle? Ogle is to persistently stare, is to look with longing and desire. Ogle, go, ogle, Google. That's my own personal interpretation, but ogle stands. Islam is saying, lower your gaze. Don't. You guys are with me, you can do this. Don't. Ogle, not Google. And people go home and are like, damn, brother, Altaf is rough, man. Okay, I know Facebook, but I can't even Google anymore. This guy is strict, right? So what I'm saying is, stick to the basics. The basics are, you walk into a room and you say, that's a brother. Walk into a room, that's a sister. You don't do, hey, check, up, 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock. Muslims, late for everything in the world, but perfect when it comes to identifying a member of the opposite gender. 2 o'clock, too late, 2:30, 3 o'clock, she's gone, dumb, dumb, dumb. That was the woman you could have married, right? What's wrong with us? Right? What's wrong with us? Right? We're not on time for anything, but we know time, right? But we know time somehow. We want to talk about it, we want to reflect upon it. But to our sisters, it says on the other hand, don't display your beauty. Draw your veils over your bosom and your chest, and do not strike your feet in order to draw attention. Believe me, I have a 6.5-year-old son. The hardest thing I had to explain to him about Muslim women and just women in general was why. Why? Because he's playing soccer, teaching him balance. Why anyone in their right minds would knowingly elevate themselves 6 more inches off the ground on a piece of stick this thin? And he would go, Dad, why do they do that? And they sound like horses. Why are they bothering us? We're trying to concentrate. And I'm going, I don't know. I truly don't know how to explain this to you. Why someone would elevate them physical selves 6 feet. And Allah said in the Quran, 1,400 years ago, save yourself the headache, save yourself the problems to your veins, save yourself all kinds of issues with your feet, everything. Walk modestly on earth. But you don't have to strike your feet to get the attention. And in those days, I'm sure it meant drastically different things than what it means today. But it still stands, brothers and sisters. And it's a reminder, because when you strike your feet, we what? We all go, right? Come on, admit it, right? You guys are like, no, I don't, really, I don't. I'm taking out all my Facebook pictures. Is that what you're saying? Right? And that Facebook stuff has just gotten out of hand. I don't want to go there. So what we're saying is, essentially, eye contact is a reflection of a soul. It truly shows a person's character. Because if you personalize it, you wouldn't engage in that behavior to the opposite gender. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do it. And it happened in the life of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, that a young man came to him and said, Ya Rasulullah, I mean, this is a brave young man, right? It doesn't say that in Hadith, but this is brave. To come to the Messenger of Allah and saying, would you give me, you seem to be like, able to make things halal and haram, right? Would you give me permission to premarital relations, to engage in fornication? Would you do that? And the Prophet ﷺ did something amazing, amazing. He didn't say, oh, you must be from that tribe of the Quraysh. They are sex maniacs. He didn't say that. He didn't curse the young man. He didn't drive him out. He didn't take a stick and say, I'll show you what, right? He didn't. He didn't. I swear he didn't. He personalized it. How would you like that for your sister? How would you like that for your mother or your aunt or your female relatives? And suddenly, the conversation is less philosophical and sort of hypothetical. And dude, I'm not gonna ask her out. I mean, I'm just gonna ask her like if she's going to that conference, and then I'll register. Right? What are you doing? Right? The Prophet said, if it wavers in your heart and it's something you don't like others to find out about, got issues, there's some problems. Physical attributes. in terms of gender relations. Now, I mean, let's be real. Let's be very real. Physical attributes matter. And that's why we say in Islam, it's healthy to be open about your likes and dislikes. It's healthy to be open about your passion and your disinclinations, but not with the world, not on your Facebook status page, not by email, not by text message, to your wife, to your husband. Within that framework, all of this is pleasurable. All of this is allowable. All of this is really within, and in fact, the Prophet ﷺ even said that the companions would get, they would get a reward for engaging in intimate relations with their spouses, and they were like, whoa! Right? I'm sure if you had like a phonetic version of that, it would be like, whoa! They would, because you're like, what are you talking about? So shouldn't you be rewarded for doing something, engaging in something permissible, as opposed to taking the alternative? So shapes matter. People all over are worried about the presence of facial hair, the lack of facial hair. Brother Altaf, I do want to marry him, but does he have one of those like scraggly beards? Or does he have a beard? Or how long is his beard? Right? And brothers, right? I want her to wear hijab, but like when we leave our house, like, I'm going to struggle with that. Oh yeah, like, you're the one wearing it, right? That's your big struggle, like to walk with a woman who's going to be taking on all the stares of everybody around her, but that's your struggle, right? Color of a skin matters, right? And the character is reflected. Because imagine that. Imagine what it would have been like. Imagine what it would have been like if all of us were created in the same color, same shape, same size, boring world. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that in Surah Rum, among His signs that He's created you, within us, variations in our languages, in our colors, all of that. Why is that there? Not so that I may judge. Not so that I may use my own insecure, racist, bigoted character to say that that color doesn't suit me. And I say that publicly. Or that color, or that shape doesn't suit me, and I say that publicly. Brothers and sisters, character is directly related to how we get along with one another, is directly related to how we treat one another, is directly related to honest and respectful and compassionate and caring and dignified relationships. But on top of all of that, it really does qualify and end up putting on us a major burden. How we end up dealing with one another. So what are the essential guidelines that are there? If you think about this, an exercise for every college student should be, at some point, to have a journal. And nowadays you can do it online, you can do it, send emails to yourself, you can write a journal. In the pre-internet, era, people wrote. Actually wrote. Like now, like a unique and exotic gift to each other is like, whoa, I'm gonna give him this like leather-bound journal. It's so exotic. It's what everyone carried because everyone wanted to write down something, or read something, or reflect upon something. Write down where you are today. What is your journey like in character building? As I said, it's not an overnight project. It's not a project that's gonna happen in a research lab. It's not going to be character building in a bottle and you buy this product at the same halal meat store I told you about and let your check bounce, right? It's not going to be a bottle that says, here's character, just add iman. Right? And you go home, you're like, I want to make character, right? And I want to have a good character. No. It's going to come from dealings. It's going to come from making mistakes. Kullu bani Adam khata'. That Allah, the Prophet says that all of the children of Adam, all of the descendants of Adam, are prone to sin except those who turn and repent. We want to be among those. So can you have good and strong relations with one another across the genders? Yes. The basic guidelines for those who've attended this lecture before or thought about and seen some of the information we've shared about gender relations. It's a clear-cut process in Islam. It's about intentions. It's about intentions. And it gauges you and guides you through that. It's summarized in 3 letters, and I'll close for Q&A and other comments, right? Anybody remember this from your previous lectures about gender relations? Who knows prepaid legal service? This is not a station identification commercial. You know it because you've used them? You're not one of those people selling them, are you? Prepaid legal service. Because if you mess up, you need a lawyer, right? PPL. This is your guidelines from Islam for how to deal with the opposite gender in a healthy way. Your interactions must be, the first P, purposeful. Purposeful. Everybody who ever deals with women and everybody who ever deals with men, remember in your heart and in your mind, I must have an agenda. The dumbest conversations that have occurred between a man and a woman have been those that were driven by the lower desires and had no agenda whatsoever. Oh my God, I was a stupid idiot in that conversation. I can't believe I just said that. What did you say? I asked her what time Maghrib is, and she said, look out the window. And I said, God, I shouldn't have done that, right? Purposeful, purposeful. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّةِ. I'm about to send her a text. What are you up to? What's up? Friday night. What's the purpose? What's the purpose? She writes back, nothing. Is that going to be it? No. Because then you might be, well, nothing what? Like, where are you doing nothing? Right? Because you want to contextualize it. It leads to nothing. It's purposeless. Even MSA meetings have to be purposeful, have to have an agenda. Every interaction, every family should have an agenda of a strategic plan, an outlook, something that's charted. Because you can't just be waking up and being Muslims and just going about life and not having any clue about where any of this will end up. It can't be. It just can't be. I mean, this lecture was, what, on Facebook? The first big lecture. I hope you have like many big lectures. Or is every lecture a big lecture, Khalid? It's a big lecture. Every lecture has free pizza? Right? MashaAllah. Right? I'm watching each of you come in as you've confirmed on Facebook, so I'm noting you as you come in. Have anybody not confirmed on Facebook? That's here? See, it's not working. Gotta diversify. The Facebook method alone didn't work. They came somehow, some other way. Right? Purposeful. First is purposeful. Second is the interactions must be public. Must be public. And someone, please help me with a healthy definition of what Muslims qualify as public. You're like, this is so trick question. What is public? Huh? Wait, someone's doing the famous ventriloquist act. Someone's the dummy in that act. Speak up, raise your hand, tell me. Where are you? Right there? Yes. No, right there. Oh, see, like he was smiling and chewing gum, and then he was like, he was moving. What is it? What is public?
In front of everyone.
In front of everybody, is that right? That sounds obvious, right? Public. In front of everybody, is that right?
Yes.
Oh, somebody said no. Come on, who said no?
No.
Yes. There are more than 2 people, definitely, because the third, the Prophet ﷺ said it, if a man and a woman are alone, the third is Shaitan. And the auntie network. Shaitan is there like egging you on to do bad things, but the auntie network has actually proven to be faster than text messaging itself. Because even when you're in the basement of a hotel, at a conference, and a connection doesn't go through, and your mom cannot find you, and auntie has told you where you are, has told her where you are. And that network is just unbelievable. Public is, yes, in front of people, yes, more than 2 people, but public is also where those who are around you, this will baffle your mind, because this is Islam in its simplicity. If I'm in a mall, my wife's name is Mona. Before I married Mona, I said, Mona, we're engaged. Let's go to the mall. We're in the mall. Does anybody really care what Mona and I do in the mall? Do they? I'm not talking about like in Saudi Arabia mall, where the mutawa is licensed, right, to kill, right? I'm saying that, what? Yeah, go ahead and try it. Okay? I'm just saying, I mean, they're there to do something that I'm going to say in a minute. But will anybody really be upset that I'm walking with Mona? I'm standing very close to him. I'm holding my future wife's hand. I'm holding her hijab. I'm straightening her hijab. I'm helping her put her hair back in the hijab. Will anybody care? Will it? Will they care? No. So is that public? Because I could physically do all of these things, right? I've been to professional conferences, I go into Muslim professors, and they do like, because they have wine in their hands, right? People are drinking with them, they're like, yeah, whoa, you're one of us, yes! Assimilation, yes, right? What's public? What's public? Public in Islam is where people around you can engage in amr bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar. That people around you can say, at least with their heart, if they can't change it with their hand, and we don't really want you to in America going up to Muslims and attempting to change anything with your hands, please, if this is being listened to years from now, somebody remind us that that's not what we intend, right? It is the prophetic advice, but there are conditions for that, right? But what? Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy anil Munkar says immediately that a mall is no longer public because nobody there cares. Nobody cares. I could be walking with purple hair, and people go, right? Purple hair uncombed, grunge, right? Earrings coming out of every part of my body. Yes. How do you get through metal detectors at the airport? That's the big concern. Not that you look really dumb. Public, amazing. Public is amazing. It's a concept in Islam. Amr bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar. Suddenly, it goes back to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. And dislike that people find out that which is going on within you, that which you're about to do. You're shaking, you're nervous, right? It's kind of like the first time you miss a class freshman year. Right? The first class you miss, you're like, oh God, I can't believe it. My mom and dad, they sacrificed all their lives, walk uphill twice, both ways, every which way, and I missed my first class. And then it's so much easier. Because you wake up like an hour later because you already missed it, you're 10 minutes into it, right? You wake up. You're like, it wasn't too bad. Professor didn't really come into my room and like knock me upside the head. I did okay, still got an A. Suddenly start feeling it's okay, unless there's someone constantly there. And a part of the MSA is to engage in that level of amr bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar. And the last one is that after making sure that there's an agenda, there's a purpose to what you're doing, and by the way, all of this can be elaborated on for hours on end. You make sure it's purposeful, your character, your upright character says, I can't do this to her. I can't do this with her. Because this could be, as the Prophet said, my sister, my mom, somebody else may be googling, ogling, whatever then. And then the last one is that the interactions must be limited. Limited. I'm very serious about emphasizing that the interactions must be limited. How can you tell, Brother Altaf, if I'm passing the limited line of interactions? Well, here's some signals. If your whole desire to go to the MSA meetings is if Khalid is going to be there, because Khalid is the president of the MSA, right? After a while you're like, hey, is Khalid in town? Is he going to be there? Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I just saw him at Dhuhr prayer, but it's already Asr prayer and I haven't seen him, right? I'm not talking about out loud conversation that you have with people. I'm talking about what goes on inside. And you're like, oh my God, I can't take this. Right? I can't take this. I can't take not seeing this person. I can't take, love kills. And love doesn't happen overnight. Love doesn't happen in a single shot, in a single glance. Love is not at first sight. That's a myth. Love happens over loving a person's character. You will see couples and you will say, oh my God, he is like 2 feet tall and she is 7 feet tall. How did they get together? What do they see in each other? That is percentage, right? What do they see in each other? And then you find out that she says, I was taken by his character. And you say, oh shucks, cut it out, right? He must have so much money, right? He must have so much money. You're just waiting for him to die, right? And you would go, what, 4 feet under because he's already 2 feet, 6 feet minus, right? What's the point? What's the point? The point is that alone, physical beauty, physical attributes, all of those, if they are upside down in terms of that spiritual and physical needs, if that's upside down, then you will judge your interactions and be driven in your interactions based on your physical needs. And your spiritual needs will be on the wayside. But if you're driven by spiritual needs, it will emanate from you, and people will actually want to be in your presence. People will actually want to be with you. You don't want to be the person on campus where people breathe a sigh of relief when you don't show up. They're like, oh, thank God he didn't come to that meeting. He just talks and he talks and he talks. It's all about him. And even if you try to talk to him and you try to interrupt and say something, he corrects you while you're trying to just breathe. Right? You're not saying anything difficult. I'm glad he didn't come. Or I'm glad she didn't come. She gossips too much. He backbites too much. And that's a part of character. If you don't have that, people look for you. People look for you. They go out of their way to find you. Because it's soothing to them to be in the presence of someone whose maqam, whose station with Allah is very high. Who's actually attempted to struggle with their desires. And believe me, I had an experience, subhanAllah, I'll never forget, where a man from Africa married a woman from China, both Muslims. And I remember asking the sister from China, saying, how, what was it? And she said literally, can you imagine? I mean, you guys make up all these like Hollywood movie dreams and Bollywood dreams and Cairowood dreams. Think about this. Think about this. What does a man do after he is married in terms of prayer? Where is his station in the house in terms of prayer? What is his position? What is he? And a brother's like, God, I hate that. I put a recording on quickly instead, right? What is it? What is his station? What is he? He's the imam. And believe it or not, she said, I approached him for marriage. You might want to cry, but I won't let you cry. She said, I approached him for marriage because I had a dream in which he led me in salah. He, an African man, led me, a Chinese woman, in salah. Is that pristine? Is that beautiful? Is that the height of I mean, where is my state of dreaming compared to this? What do I listen to when I go to bed? Right? What am I watching before I sleep? What comes through my head? What is the reflection of my true state of being? It's a good sign to stop. What is my true state of being, right? And how do I encompass all of what is expected of me? And then I do it in a way that's lasting. Islam is about a lasting lifestyle. Not just a lifestyle, but is a lasting lifestyle that I can take with me no matter where I am on earth, no matter what century it is, and no matter with whom I am interacting. Character building, brothers and sisters, begins with your intentions, inspires righteous conduct, and ultimately, where it matters the most, in terms of interactions with one another, it matters how honest I am with you. Truthful, compassionate, caring, no harshness among the brothers. No harshness, no matter what. What's the most that anyone could do to upset you? That someone holds anger and rancor. And with the sisters, the same advice. And then what could be so possibly wrong with us that we actually don't know how to deal with one another? And I've said, Islam is all about healthy interactions. Healthy interactions, whether between a husband and a wife, between a brother and a sister, and in terms of doing it in a purposeful way, in a public manner, public setting, and definitely to do it in very limited terms. And that really has a lot. Because that means that you don't look out for that person's email and something happens within you. Because if that starts to happen, then come talk to us, those of us in the community who are working on the project of marrying every Muslim man and woman until that, the day of judgment. And we can help you. We can help you. We can even help to talk you out of it, right? Because you may not be ready. We can help you talk you into it because you may not have realized it, but you've thought about it, right? And all of these difficulties, inshallah, are able to be gotten rid of if the focus is to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I'm going to stop there, inshallah. In summary, what I've said is that I began by really saying the good news is than those of you who came late. The good news is, this is the encapsulated version, the cliff notes of this lecture, is that the good news is that we're created on fitrah, in a pure state, and that all of us begin with a 4.0, excellent character, impeccable character, sin-free, and then it's up to us to continue that route and that trajectory. And then I talked about how so many guidances throughout the Quran about character and about in the life of the Prophet ﷺ enjoin us to engage in righteous conduct, that all of the conduct is judged by the intentions, and that especially where it matters is that where we reflect upon the true state of our character. At home, sometime at night, writing down, emailing ourselves, whatever you do, that the ability to say that I can have muhasaba, accountability at the end, and ultimately where it matters is not only interaction with each other, but with the opposite gender, which is Jazakumullahu khairan. I'll open it up for comments, I'll open it up for any questions, inshallah, and hopefully they will be on topic. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum. Yes. The pizza will be here at 9.
Thank you so much for coming tonight. I really appreciate you taking time to speak with us. My question pertains to what you said at the beginning of the lecture. You said that everyone is born in a completely pure state with a 4.0 GPA. Is it theoretically possible for a Muslim to maintain that perfect 4.0 GPA throughout his or her entire life?
SubhanAllah. It's a beautiful question. And your name is?
Chris.
You'll be picked on for the rest of the night. Never do that. When you ask the name, choose a pseudonym. Like give some other name, like Barack. Dude, a white Barack, look. So the idea is that he's saying, is it really possible? As Muslims, we know, and in fact, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he refers to us insan in the Arabic language, even that word, insan, the root of it, ins, is connected to what? Forgetfulness. So we're not saying that we're not going to have hurdles along the way and make mistakes. The amazing thing is, the Quran often talks about those who make those mistakes and go off of that path a little bit, 3.8, still a good Muslim, right? 3.5, right? But then immediately, their heart just overtakes them and they suddenly are uncomfortable with themselves. And they go back to Allah within the 5 prayers, or if the prayer time is done and it's at night, go back in front of Allah, make wudu, and start repenting and say, I don't know why I do this. I don't know why this is happening to me. I don't want it to happen to me. And that's the difference. Is that in another verse, Allah says in Surah Al-Hashr, after saying, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ittaqullaha wa tanzur nafsum ma qaddamat lighad wattaqullaha inna Allaha khabirun bima ta'malun wa la takunu kalladhina nasullah fa ansahum anfusahum ulaika humul fasiqun. Who are the fasiq, the transgressors? In Surah Al-Hashr, Allah says that do not be like those. And He's addressing the believers. He says, do not be like those who forgot Allah, and He caused them to forget themselves. You see what I'm saying? The people who have character flaws, when they get caught, and something terrible happens, they get caught, they say, why did you do it? They most often say, I don't know what came over me. Are you with me? I don't know what came over me. And the neighbors come out, Chris was such a quiet guy. Right? We never thought Chris would do that. It's always the same thing. The neighbors say the exact same thing. They've never said, dude, I could tell he was a serial killer. Right? The first time I saw him. Right? The way he took out the for sale sign and he was like digging it into the thing. I should have known he was a serial killer. Why not on the news? Have you ever seen that? It's not going to be possible. Because outwardly, appearance matters. And say, oh, quiet guy, right? But internally, if you have that going, your heart will not get hardened. And then you won't be like those people who miss the first day of class, second day of class, third day of class. And pretty much they don't show up. They show up for the final. And they don't do well. They get a 2.0, 2.5, they may graduate. But ultimately Allah says, where do you want to be when it comes time for your death? Do you want to be closer to the 4.0 or saying 1.0, give me one more chance, let me retake it, right? So that's the short. Sure, right after the guy next to you, because he also confirmed on Facebook. We're only taking questions from those who confirmed on Facebook, because we're trying to train the Muslims to give as much information about your whereabouts to the government as possible. So, mashallah, all of you have told them exactly where you'd be between 7:30 and 9. Yes?
I had a quick question. I was wondering, could
That's a good question. So the question is essentially, well, if you're starting to work on this project, and we say it's not an overnight project, how do you start? And then is it that you start with the prayer and the remembrance, and then that leads you to the good character, or do you start, by righteous conduct and you go backwards? Well, actually, it would matter on what time of the day it was. Your setting, your state of your heart, where you were, what you could do. I have had people, I have done counseling at 30,000 feet in the air. When I'm traveling and someone sits next to me, within a few minutes, it goes from oh thank God you're not a terrorist, to, can I tell you about my life? And if it happens up there, Muslims and people of other faith, by the way, it happens up there. They couldn't, in the middle of a flight, get up and pray. But they could turn to Allah and say, up here, at this height, I am telling you that I'm not going to engage in such and such behavior again. And the moment I touch down, I'm going to go and pray and read the Quran and try to apply and practice the Quran. The challenge becomes, is something will interrupt you in between that. And shaitan will come, and if you question your intention, come on, man. Dude, you really weren't wrong. Right? They were wrong. I know you want to be sorry, but it was them. Right? Did you see how they looked at you? And it will provoke you and move you away from the remembrance of Allah. And so our goal is to say what? Is to say, let's focus on a duality of righteous conduct inspired by faith, but then the ibadat, the acts of worship, that are truly ingrained in second nature. What we don't want to happen is what happens with every final exam when you've never studied. You haven't studied, it's 8 chapters, and suddenly on the night before the exam, you're saying, oh Allah, help me pass this, and I'll worship you forever. 8 chapters. 8 chapters. And this is not how Muslims can lead their lives. So we can't say, I'll turn to prayer when I've messed up. We should say that I'm constantly in prayer, and oh my God, I messed up. I'm going to go back and pray again. So it's a combination of both. One can. Of course, if people who are away from Islam, and it's righteous conduct which starts bringing them back into loving Allah, and they see the signs of their work, and slowly they will come back to ultimately praying. But the obligatory prayers are there, the Quran reading is there, but it's never a notion that some people say this, they say, well, just go out and be a good person. And then slowly you'll start to pray. No, because the obligatory is that you have to pray. That's not a choice. You can choose whether or not to be a good person, but there's no choice about praying. So you have to pray. And ultimately it is as the stream in front of your house, would you ever be dirty? If you had a stream, the Prophet said, flowing in front of your house. And that is the state of the 5 prayers. That is what cleanses us. That is how we ultimately seek the repentance from Allah. So it's a combination of both, and it's definitely cyclical, and one perpetuates and inspires the other. Inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Yes? Well, it's a good question, and actually what you're talking about involves a lot of talking to oneself. You guys do that? Nobody here talks to themselves? Oh, stop it. You do, right? It's healthy. You just don't do it out loud and in elevators. Like 50 years ago, right? People all over New York City would be walking around talking to themselves. And they'd go, oh, the poor homeless. Oh, the poor mental health people. And today, just because you have a Bluetooth, we don't know if it's on or off. You could be talking to yourself. It could be a piece of plastic you carved into a Bluetooth, right? It could be aluminum foil that you put a neon light over it. How do we know? That's the difference, right? But she's talking about a high state of self-awareness. Self-awareness comes from knowing one's station in life. That I am tested with not being able to marry. And you turn and you say, oh Allah, someone else has been tested with marriage, but she's suffering from physical abuse. Someone else has been tested with marriage, but no children. In the case of that example. So you turn back and you say, oh Allah, help that person with what they are dealing with and prevent from me a similar tragedy as what has overcome them. So it's a dual dua, that you acknowledge that they're going through a lot and you want Allah to make it easier for them and you want Allah to prevent it from them. The confusion comes if you philosophize dua too much. If you philosophize and saying, you know, like the old thing used to be where the man was so lazy and he was sitting under a tree and he was begging Allah, oh Allah, I'm hungry. Oh Allah, give me food, right? And the apple falls on his head, right? And he goes, not there, here, right? So, I mean, it's like confusing dua. I mean, what's your problem? If Allah blesses you, accept it, but within reason, that it doesn't make you arrogant or artificially or overly envious with what somebody else has or does not have. So you want to prioritize it and say, oh Allah, this is my state. This is what will make me content, and this is what will make me unhappy. And then I think about it again. It seems what makes me unhappy are things that are actually not good for me. So Allah keeps me from them anyway. You see what I'm saying? And that is, I mean, it's amazing. Believe me, brothers and sisters, I write emails to myself. Okay, I admit it. Right? I have drafts of emails that I've never sent. I usually send the 4th or the 5th version of the draft of the email, because I may be mistaken in my conclusion about what I'm talking about. But my dua is, oh Allah, help me to repair this interaction that has gone wrong. Oh Allah, help me to improve in this situation that seems hopeless. You see what I'm saying? Oh, I'm going into a transaction of a business transaction. Oh Allah, protect my wealth, protect my family. Right? Asking for things actively. Philosophizing becomes like, you know, I'm not really sure if I deserve this. There's no, I mean, in Islam, self-pity is not something a part of reality. We're not supposed to be engaging in a lot of self-pity. But you can say, oh Allah, I'll do my best to use in your path whatever you've blessed me, and I will not be envious with that which you haven't blessed me with, but have blessed somebody else. You see what I'm saying? Right? So concretize it, and inshallah try to stay active in your self-talk, because that will help you to really gauge where you are in life in terms of your station. Any other comments? You can have comments as well. Chris, I'll come back to you in a minute. Anybody else? Yes?
Tips on avoiding procrastination.
Tips on avoiding procrastination. So this would be an example of a question that's totally unrelated to character building, but it needs to be talked about because we're on a college campus. And I'll tell you. Procrastination is a sign of a genius. Of a genius. If you can pull it off and succeed in what you are procrastinating with. Are you with me? It is the height of a multitasker. It is the epitome. It is the epitome. I'm trying to make everyone feel good about procrastinating, right? Before I knock it out, right? It is the epitome. It is the epitome of someone who is an executive, right? In their own life. And ultimately, it takes just one time for you to over-procrastinate, and you come down to earth, and you say, oh Allah, I will never procrastinate again for as long as I live. And then you delay the next salah. Right? You delay praying the next salah. Procrastination stems from a sense of overconfidence that you are in charge. It's very shirky. If you look at it that way, I've taken you high, and now I'm going to shoot you down and say, it's very shirky. Procrastination is very shirky. You think you're in control of time. You think you're in control of circumstances. You think you're in control of your mood. You think you're in control of somebody else's mood. You have a massive term paper. Hello. Hey, Khalid? Dude, man, she said no. What do you mean? She can't come to the MC meeting? No, dude, you forgot my marriage talks. She said no. I have a term paper to write. Really, no. You gotta help me, right? Somebody else's emotional state may totally mess up your schedule. If you've waited till the last minute, if you think you're in charge, and you think you can control the circumstances, you have a problem. And the only way to get around it is to master procrastinating. You wanna know how? You wanna know how?
Yeah.
I procrastinate because sometimes it's just undoable. You just can't do it. But if I have a term paper to write, everywhere I'm going, I'm writing that term paper. Are you with me? I'm just not physically sitting down and writing it. Everywhere I'm going, I'm asking people questions, I'm asking them where they got books, and if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is accepting your usual life, your basic daily life, believe it or not, you will find answers to your term paper, references, the exact pages, the exact sites, internet sites, even without your attempting to look for them, because that has actually happened in the lives of people I know, but they were focused on Allah. And they said, let me do this. Let me serve Allah. Let me do good things. Let me pray on time. Let me do everything correctly, and I know I have a lot to do, so I won't do the term paper until this time, but I'll set it aside. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it happen. He will make time stand still. He will make your professor look at you and say, you want another week? I will give it to you. Yeah, I used to be president of MSA National. And the Muslim community is not organized to have national organizations. I don't know why we don't give it up. I don't know why we don't give it up. There'd be crisis upon crisis. You couldn't predict crisis. You couldn't make up half this stuff. You couldn't make it up. Brother, you gotta come to our campus. Why? Because the sisters are not being allowed into the meeting. When is the meeting on? Well, it's a meeting on women's rights in Islam. Like, you need me to come there? Are you that dumb? Like, what's wrong, right? But you gotta go. You gotta go. We were advertising on a campus, on a poster that said, are you ready to die? That was at the title of a lecture Imam Siraj was supposed to give. Imam Siraj was supposed to give the week of September 11. Are you with me? This is our sophistication. This is the level of our sophistication. So you think I'm not going to procrastinate? Yes, I'm going to procrastinate because I can't have enough phone lines. I can't have enough cell phones. I can't text message myself enough with the Muslim community. So is this a rant? No, it's not. It's not. But if you perfect it, I used to read on the plane. I used to read when I walked. I used to read when I drove. I used to write notes when I drove. I used to just eat, what? I know you guys are awake now, right? I used to do that. Why? Because if you're truly focused, you can procrastinate and manage it. If you start getting content saying, I can do this, I got this, it starts to become a little bit, as if you're becoming arrogant with circumstances, time, and everything else. So I say, you can do it, but you gotta be really good at it. I had a friend who never came to class. And had the nerve to go up to the professor in the 6th or 7th week of class and just sit in and kind of slowly sneak into the class. And the professor had us fill out these note cards, 3 by 5. So in his section, the professor said, I don't think I've seen you before. Would you fill out this card for me after class? So he came and he said, very shy, right? Very shameful. I know I haven't been here, but I've kept up with the whole textbook. I'm totally on the schedule. The professor looked up at her. You have the textbook? Because it's been out of publication for like years. I can't find it. I've been using my own notes and supplementing. You have the textbook? He goes, right? He was dead. You gotta be really good at it. You can't lie. You can't cheat. If you mess up, you're late, tell your professors. Tell your professors. Is to honestly tell them what my life was like, and they will just look at me and go, man, you have way too much going on. It's fine. You can do it next year. You can take this long, right? You seem to be doing much more than what we ever expected of you. Be upfront with people. Be truthful with them. You don't want to start a trend on campus where people say, oh, Muslims, they talk the talk, but they never walk the walk. That's what it says in the Quran about that. In Surah As-Saf. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu لما تقولون ما لا تفعلون كبر مقتا عند الله أن تقولوا ما لا تفعلون. O you who believe, why is it that you say that which you do not do? It is despicable to Allah that you say that which you do not do. And that goes to practicing in your personal life and trying to enforce it onto others. That goes to cheating at the businesses. That goes to holding back on something, business transactions. That goes to relations with your family, with your children, with everything. But if you go back, the root of all of this is what was your intention. If you procrastinated in this case, and your intention was, I just have to help this person. You truly have to help this person, then yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will somehow open that and give you a makhraj, an opening, inshallah, a path to success. But it takes a lot of doing. So if you're having trouble, my email is there, inshallah, we can work it out. We can counsel you on procrastination. Any other comments, any questions? Yes? Yeah. Well, he's asking on on this work, this constant work about intentions is, how can you know about your intentions, about being mukhlis, like having ikhlas, sincerity. Often, this is not something to philosophize about. That a lot of people get lost in, never actually doing, because they're constantly stuck with questioning and re-questioning and questioning. So Islam actually negates and frowns upon, if you will, the notion of obsessing with anything. Obsessing with anything. And obsessing with one's intentions comes to a point of dysfunction when you're not actually engaging in the conflict. So especially if you're doing mostly good intentions. If you have mostly good intentions, and I mentioned the hadith of the Prophet in terms of conduct, that you can tell. He said, Al-birru husnul khuluq, that the righteousness is morality and good character. And wal-ithmu, and he goes on to say that, and wrongful doing is basically that which wavers in your soul. It causes your soul to flutter, and you dislike that somebody will find that out about you. You see what I'm saying? So when you're engaging in something, I mean, come on. Let's face it. If you're going to get up like at 3 in the morning, and you're going to say, you know what? I don't want the president of the MSA or the officers to have to go out and tape these flyers onto the poles. Can you do that at GMU? I don't know if you can. Right? Go out to the kiosk and put these flyers. I'll get up and do it. And I'll just take the flyers. I won't even tell anyone. They're available in PDF. I'll just print them, and I'll just go and do it. I don't want anyone to know about it. Most likely, there's not much wrong with that intention. If you go out there, and you're like, I'm going to carry my webcam, right? Battery operated, right, from my shoe, right? And I'm going to hold it like this so people can see me walking, right? Right? And then they can see me putting on the flyer, right? Flyer number 1, right? I mean, come on, right? Some things are very obvious. On the other hand, you get up. You want to go do that. Go put on the flyers. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, and you're going. And someone comes, and you see you. And what's your name? Farhan. They see you, Farhan. They see you so happy at 3 in the morning, serving Allah by putting up flyers with duct tape. Duct tape is the way to go, right? And then you see some Muslims go by. They're like, hey, Farhan, right? What are you doing? You can just say, oh, not much. Or you can say, I printed these flyers myself. You got the duct tape? I'm out here flyering for the MSA. It's like the person who was actually in prayer in a very ancient masjid. And they brought the tourists. And they said, that man is constantly in sujood. He's constantly in ruku. He's always praying to Allah. And the man hears it. And he says, and I'm fasting too. Right? It becomes pretty clear. It becomes pretty clear where you went from like up here with the intention to like, right down here. So you go out there at 3 in the morning and you're putting up these flyers. And Sister Aisha walks by, right? And if your intention was just to stay focused on what you were doing and not worry about Aisha, because on your Facebook before you left, you said, on my status, going out flyering, kiosk number 2, right? Aisha gets out, oh, status Farhan, going flyering. Aha. Hey Farhan, hey, what are you doing here? Come on, people, right? It gets pretty obvious after a while. And what we're saying is, let's just focus as much as possible. And sometimes, believe it or not, in the middle of an action, you can actually clarify your intention for yourself. Say, oh Allah, I came here to show off, and now I know that I don't want to show off anymore, and I want to, and I want to improve myself. Or Allah, I started this off with the wrong intention, I want to correct it. Right here in the middle of this act, in the middle of this circumstance. Right, is that Farhan? Are you Farhan with that answer? Yes, Andrew.
So a Muslim commits a sin or makes a mistake. Is it right in Islam to criticize him on that mistake?
Oh yeah, go back on Facebook, dude. You should have seen what I saw Farhan do, right? Pictures, upload, albums. The amazing thing is, I make a joke of it, but believe it or not, some people, their whole satisfaction, I think there are like tribes of these people all over the world. In every culture, in every race. You put up an event. The event was great. But the microphone sucked. What's wrong with the MSA? Like, brother, please. Right? That's the best they could do. That's the best they could do. And they do it in a way that actually tries to belittle that person. The Prophet ﷺ, a man came to him in Ramadan, and he said, basically, I have ruined myself. Ya Rasulullah, I have ruined myself. And the Prophet ﷺ said, what did you do? And he said, I had relations with my wife in the middle of the day of fasting. Anybody who knows Islam knows, right? Can't eat, can't drink, right? That's what all Americans know about Islam, right? Ramadan, can't eat, can't drink. Tough religion, right? Basically what? He committed a sin. The Prophet ﷺ looked at him. He knew it was a sin. But the narration tells us, and he told him, he said, how to get out of this is you have to free. You have to free. I'm sorry, first you have to fast 60 consecutive days. And the man must have looked at him and said, I'm telling you, I have trouble with one day. Can't do 60. Right? I mean, this is like that commentary that doesn't happen, right? And he's looking, right? So he's like, okay. And he slaves. Can you free a possession in that day and age? It was a property. Can you free slaves? I have no slaves to free. I have no slaves to free. Can you feed? Talk about correcting someone. Can you feed the poor? By now, anybody, any judge would have just taken this person and slapped them upside their head saying, what's wrong with you? Can you fast 60? Can't do it. Can you free slaves? Don't have any. Can you feed the poor? Don't got any food to feed them with. I just messed up, committed a sin, can't get myself out of it. Go to jail card, basically. And then he says to his companions, go and bring me some food. They bring the food, and he gives it to the man. And he says, take this and feed the poor. Can you imagine this? Can you imagine this art of correcting a person's behavior through mercy, through dignifying that person, not judging them, not cursing them? And then the man says, I have the food, I should feed the poor, but you know who is the most poor of all? It is my family. And the Prophet says, take it and feed your family. This is the religion that I love. This is the Prophet, this is the conduct that I love. This is the religion that has been given to 1.56 billion Muslims. This is the beauty of this religion, that in the harshness that we've developed over time, whether colonization or post-colonization or post-internet or pre-internet or whatever the reasons we give for the way we are today, there is no excuse to base it upon this religion. So if somebody commits a sin, but if they're being public and shameless about it, there has to be some actual physical correction, meaning stop them, talk to them and do everything. But if you just assume that someone drinks, so elections come up on the MSA campus, you're like, dude, man, Altaf, he goes clubbing. They're like, you know that? Yeah, I totally know that. How do you know that? I just know that. It's a dead-end conversation. If you know that, stop me. If you know that, stop me. Whereas some brothers who are very advanced in this say, I was doing dawah at the club. Right? At the club. Because 3 in the morning, people love to philosophize. Right? But what is it? Is it the sin? You know about my sin? Then help me privately. Come talk to me. Email me. Say, Altaf, dude, I do want to talk to you about this. I know you got upset, but it was very harsh. The sisters were upset, the brothers were upset. The speakers didn't like that you said, and they were non-Muslims, and you said, this about non-Muslims. And I just wanted to meet you and talk to you about this. I can not respond to you. I can delete your email. Or if the dua and the intention is right, that email may set me totally into a repenting mode that nobody could have done if you cursed me on stage or you brought me in the public and lynched me or did anything. You see what I'm saying? So there's a hikmah, there's a wisdom behind it. And unfortunately, we're too much rushing to get the points for showing that I knew more and therefore I could correct, and not worrying about the correction. I'm worrying about the correction. Not worrying about the continuous notion of correcting oneself, of constantly total quality improvement. That's Islam. Total quality management, that's Islam. That wasn't invented like some years ago. That's from the very beginning. Morning till night, 5 times a day, pray. And then pray additional prayers. Then read the Quran and read the Hadith and then practice it. Make azkar, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Seek refuge in Allah constantly. There's no way anybody would sin. But if they do sin, they have a responsibility to seek forgiveness from Allah. But if you see it, as the Prophet said, stop them with your hand, then with your tongue, and then move away. That's the weakest of the state of one's heart. So, did I do it? Are you Farhan? Because if you are, you can get 2 pieces of pizza. Yes?
What if you don't know the person? Like,
You don't know the person.
No.
Who cares? Muslims, we don't care. We just curse.
I mean, okay, I get on Facebook. I get
Aha.
this,
Aha, back to Facebook. Yeah, sure.
okay.
Not a big part.
I get this friend invite, and the guy's like on the thing it says he's Muslim, but there are pictures of him doing,
Okay.
things. But
Yeah.
I don't know him, and
Right.
what should I do?
Well, this is interesting because Facebook is truly a government project. I don't know if you realize this or not. But truly, it is the best tool anyone could have ever devised that said, I really want to know what people are thinking. But God, how am I going to ask them? Status. I'm upset. I'm angry. I sneezed. Didn't have a tissue. It was a mess. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? And then they have ignored, by the way.
Ignore it?
Right. No, they have ignored.
Oh.
Because, it's harsh. But I've never ignored. I just leave it there. I can't confirm that I don't know. And I don't confirm the people I don't know. So there's this one guy that's going around that's been confirmed by everyone because everyone thinks that everybody else knows them, but nobody really knows this guy. And I'll prove it in years from now. But the point is this confirm or ignore. My thing is, if that person came into your life and wanted to add you, right? You didn't know them. If you truly are concerned about that person, do view friends. If you find some friends who are there, just ask them. Say, is this true? Is this the person? Do you know this person? And they say, no, we don't even know him. Suddenly you realize that nobody knows him, not something we can do about it. You can do about that which you know, and that which is in your control. If you find out that it's actually the twin of the person in your MSA, then what you can do, you may be in another country. But if it's the person in your MSA and has 2 identities, one on the MSA, one outside, then someone can advise him privately. Not an MSA discussion that quickly turned into a gossip session. And it's like sort of like pseudo counseling. We just want to help the brother, so all of us are talking a lot about him. Or we want to help the sister, we're just discussing a lot about her, and some things will be said, and the Prophet said, that you know that the person would not like to hear this, would not like you have them say this about them. They wouldn't. And the worst of the images is like eating the flesh of your dead brother or sister. I mean, that's like, for the vegans, it's like anathema. They're like, ah! But even for the meat eaters, it should be something that says, oh my God, what an image. What a powerful image. How beautiful is the miracle of the Quran, that this notion of gossiping and backbiting is taken and turned, again, taken out of the realm of living a spiritual life and brought down to the physical desires and physical needs and the lower desires, because if you're driven by that, you will do that. You will be led to gossiping and backbiting, which is the equivalent of doing anything to stuff yourself. Stuff yourself and satisfy yourself. And in this case, gossip may be satisfying you. Don't listen to a lot of these talk shows. Don't watch a lot of these soap operas. Don't watch a lot of these movies. Much of this is intended to totally reduce you from a spiritual being. I mean, I don't know when the last time I would ever have a 3-hour span to watch an Indian movie. I don't know. And if you have that time, call me. I will help you volunteer somewhere. Right? Or 90 minutes even for the typical American movie. So much imagery, so much profound meaning. And it's down here at the vegetable level, and people are making meaning out of it. Wow, did you hear that? Whoa. And if you reflect upon it, it's really not up there. You're just making it because you paid 12 or whatever it costs to go to the movie these days. Wow, dude, that was good dialogue. Right? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And so our goal is to do what? Essentially to say, let's attempt in our heart of hearts to try to focus on this notion of character building at the individual level. At the individual level. And then slowly go out and say, if I see somebody on Facebook doing this, well, let me talk to them. You will mark my words, not in the way Joseph Biden said it. I don't know why he said it that way. But believe it or not, people are looking at Facebook. Employers look at Facebook. Potential employers look at Facebook. Your friends at work look at your Facebook. If you're single now, I'm telling you, mark your profile and make it private. Once you start getting into marriage talks, you will regret every comment you've made, every picture you've put up that you would have been ashamed of for your future wife to see. Because she will see it, and he will see it, and he will say, did you do that? And you will say, did you actually say that? Did you put up these pictures, even though it was funny, but did you actually put this up? It's obscene. It's nudity, even though it's a cartoon. It's obscene words, obscene gestures. And suddenly you reduce it, and you say, God, I couldn't have someone who's going to marry my sister have come from a background like that. Because that takes some doing, man. That takes some going into your desktop, browse, upload. I mean, there's some thought involved in that. It's not just like, I just put it up and I just thought about it and it came up. No. And I'm saying, if that person shows up on Facebook, or someone invites you on Facebook, Facebook is awesome for organizing. It's awesome for the way we're getting things done. But it's not the answer. It's not the answer for the outlet of your inward expression. That's not where it should be happening. If you're married, turn to your spouse and express those feelings. If you're not married, turn to Allah and say, oh Allah, I have these feelings. Help me conquer them. Help me to conquer them before I am conquered by them.